Hi, I'm Eli Diedrich. I'm a student at the University of Arkansas, and this is why college kids can conquer Corona. So, as a result of my speech, the audience will be educated on the infamous coronavirus and be persuaded that COVID 19 is not the killer that has been made out to be, especially for young college students. The coronavirus is unjustly affecting the lives of college students, and the guidelines around it should be changed. The coronavirus. I'm sure you're all sick and tired of hearing those words. It follows you everywhere you go. It has drastically changed the lives of nearly everyone on this planet. So many important things have happened this year, yet it's hard to turn on the TV without COVID 19 updates and information being shoved down your throat. Now, I know the coronavirus is a very touchy and political subject, much like everything else these days. However, I'm going to do my best to avoid politics because the last thing I want to do is go on a rant and push my political agendas. I will touch on mandates set by the university because it would be irresponsible not to, but my goal is to stick to the medical side of things. After all, COVID 19 is a virus, not a bill. So, firstly, being that I'm a student at the University of Arkansas and I'm speaking to students and a professor at the University of Arkansas, I would like to address how this pandemic is affecting us. For the majority of you out there, I would assume the answer is not well. So why is that? Maybe it's because you can't hang out with your friends the way you used to be able to, or maybe you miss your family. Or, what is a significant time of the year where you can either see both of those groups of people closest to you? Spring break, an awesome opportunity to spend a week with those you love. Well, the U of A says, too bad, so sad. As of right now, spring break is essentially canceled by breaking up the days off so that no one can travel. The U of A's COVID response pages states that spring break will be split into smaller breaks intermittently throughout the semester in an effort to limit travel and reduce chance of the virus being spread. Now, I understand where this is coming from and the good intentions behind it, but what's being overlooked is the impact this has on students' mental health. According to Marvin Kislov, an author for Forbes, students are lonely and anxious. And according to one major study done, more than 75% of college students said they needed help for emotional and mental health problems. 75% of college students felt lonely and anxious. Wow, that's a frighteningly large percentage. What's even scarier about it? That was last year. That number has tripled earlier this year as the coronavirus pandemic tightened its grip on the country, according to a study done at Boston University, now claiming 27.8% of adults compared to the 8.5% pre-pandemic. Taking away those opportunities to see loved ones does not help students to feel any less lonely than they already were, especially now in the midst of a pandemic. Fast forward to March with me here. Let's say spring break goes the way it's currently intended to, and you're still in Fayetteville carrying on with life in the pandemic. What's the benefit of being here? A few things might have come to mind, but I'm quite certain that education was not the first thing on your list. If I asked that question last year, it probably would have. But online schooling has made learning incredibly difficult for students. The University of Colorado Boulder did a survey in mid-April asking students how they felt online learning has affected them. When asked if the COVID-19 pandemic had negatively affected their learning environment, 58.2% of participants strongly agreed, and 35.8, agreed. How many students disagreed? 0. Students can't learn through a screen. It's hard. It's hard to pay attention. It's hard to ask questions. Professor Russell, I'd assume you went from asking students to please stop talking in class to provoking them to speak. Probably thinking to yourself, please, somebody say something, which I thank you for, because in other classes, it's far too easy for me to turn off the camera and just play on my phone all class. I feel that most students can relate to this, but what can we do about it? It's a deadly virus that puts people's health at risk, right? Well, I'm here to tell you from experience that it's not a big of a risk as it's made out to be. Yes, I've had COVID, but it was a little bit of a different story for me, and I'll tell you why. When I was in 5th grade, I became very ill. I lost roughly 15 pounds and had no energy for really anything. I was unfortunately diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Diabetes is an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases cause your body to attack the healthy cells in your body that they're supposed to protect. As a result, my body does not fight bacteria or viruses like it should. So this was very concerning when the coronavirus came about. March rolls around and I catch the virus. I felt like I had heartburn every time I ate or drank. And knowing that people with diabetes were at severe risk from corona, it had me really scared. On my way to get tested at the hospital, I wholeheartedly was convinced that I might die. I remember sitting in a passenger seat of my mom's car, just praying to God, making my peace with death. The doctors told me that the virus had gotten into my lungs, and that scared me. I contracted pneumonia as a result of the virus. That's it, pneumonia. They gave me antibiotics, and within a week, I was good as new. I was thankful for how smoothly everything went, but this also made me a little bit upset. As a diabetic, I'm supposed to be the one who's most vulnerable to the virus. And I think that's true. I am. Within the first 2 weeks of this school year, I got it again. I experienced the same symptoms for 2 days, then poof, it was gone, like nothing even happened. So if I, as a diabetic with an autoimmune disease, can survive the virus not once, but twice, so can every other student on campus. I mean, our lives do not need to be seriously altered for something that does not pose as serious of a threat. Well, you might say, what about our faculty and staff? Older people are at a higher risk. And to that I say, let them do what makes them feel comfortable. They can still follow COVID guidelines. According to the CDC, as long as an individual wears a mask and keeps a safe distance of 6 feet, they're at practically no risk. And I'm confident that professors would wear a mask and stay 6 feet away at the front of the classroom if it meant that they could see their students in person. They hate virtual school just as much as we do, as the students. This solves the problem that COVID has created for our education. Our social lives should go back to normal as well, because like I previously stated, people of our age demographic are at virtually no risk to the virus. And those are the people that would typically socialize with. Now, never say never, but I would be pretty surprised if I saw Professor Russell throwing down at a frat party, and especially during the pandemic. But all jokes aside, this is a sliver of normality. Getting to go out with friends would be significantly increase of the mental health state of many teens and young adults that are suffering solely because of the pandemic. To me, it's not rocket science. There are so many things that could be done to help life go back to normal, especially in a controlled environment like a university. In conclusion, I've explained the lives of college students and how they've been negatively affected as a result of the virus. I've shared my personal testimony, presenting a firsthand account on dealing with the virus and the severity of it. And I've also given my 2 cents on what actions I believe can be taken to eliminate problems that COVID has created for college students, specifically education and mental health. I hope that I have provided a logical viewpoint that you can adopt for yourself, because it frustrates me that I can't freely hang out with my friends or go see my family. It frustrates me that college students all over are suffering mentally. It frustrates me that college students everywhere are paying for higher education and retaining only a fraction of what it should be. But most of all, it frustrates me that it doesn't have to be this way. Thank you for your time.